Welcome to T-Boys TV. We are back again, another hat show. Don't know what happened there, a little bit of a lag, but yeah, back again. That's a good start, isn't it? Obviously, it is starting to sink in now for people. Obviously, the fixtures come out today. Obviously, we'll be getting a little bit into them. I don't plan to look at every single game in, a proper detailed aspect, but let's have a look, see who we get. I tend to look at who we have first, because during the season, the fixtures will most likely change due to cup competitions and etc., etc. But yeah, obviously we're here, episode 107, and then obviously we will be doing basically a player ratings for the season. So yeah, episode 107. Like always, I'm joined with my dad. How are we, Dad?
Yeah, all good, mate. All good. Hope everyone's cool, enjoying the sunshine, and looking forward to the Premier League season.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Big up. There is a lot of people inside waiting, so big up for that. Much appreciated. But yeah, let's get into it. So, like I said, obviously the first thing we're going to get into, it's only right. Obviously, it come out today, and that is obviously the fixtures. Everyone was awaiting it. Never actually seen Sky Sports talk about us so much before in my life until today, to be honest with you. But yeah, obviously the fixtures come out for us. Our first game is Brighton away. Now, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because, I always say with Brighton, Brentford, teams like that, we're moving in a similar direction to them. They're just, a few years ahead. Obviously, Brighton more so, I'd say, than Brentford compared to us. So it's an interesting one in that aspect. Obviously, we played each other not too long ago. It's only in a friendly. And, I think that even though that was a friendly, I think you could see, they were a few years ahead of us. They ended up winning that one 3-1. So it's all interesting. It's all interesting. Obviously, like I said, this is where it started to sink in for people. It still hasn't for me in a certain way. Even though I said I thought when the fixtures come out it would. I think it's just now for me, it's more so when I actually see the shirt with the Premier League sleeve. Then I'm going to be like, whoa, okay. And then we actually, playing obviously against Brighton. Then I'll probably, then you got to believe because it is, it's the case. But yeah, Brighton away, first game of the season. How are we feeling about that one, Dad?
Yeah, I think that's a nice fixture for us in the sense that, like as you were saying, they're one of the clubs that we're looking to, obviously do things slightly differently, but we can see that where they've come from and what they've achieved, and they haven't gone out and spent loads of money initially. They always get these gems every single season. The scouting network's great. Don't forget we've got Nathan Jones from them initially. So obviously we've got a lot of respect for them. But for me, it in that case, it will be a good test for us against them, to see exactly how far we've come, because obviously they expect to be the better team. We'll see what their squad's like, but they probably still will be the better team. So if we can get a positive result there, or even if we do lose and we put up really a very good effort, that's something to look at, and then you can see how far we actually have come. And like you said, like I do believe it, but until that ball gets kicked off in that first game, that's when it becomes real. Even I'm looking at go on the BBC website and that, looking at the league table now, bang, they're there. It's just for me, it's phenomenal. It's just unreal because I'm so used to seeing them in different leagues, very different leagues. So it's just amazing. But yeah, as soon as that the kickoff comes, then that'll be reality, and we'll see.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And another thing Eugene's obviously reminded me in the chat is obviously they're a European team as well now. So it's going to be even more of a test to see how we do. Obviously, they're saying the fixture might change because of that. I'm not sure if they're in the qualifying stages. I can't remember how it works. So you might be right with that. But either way, like I say, that's why I don't tend to look at the fixtures too much. And plus, you're going to play everyone at some point, aren't you? So it's just one of them. But predominantly, I look at the first game and the last game. And the last games when it comes to home games and stuff like that, really. So yeah, I guess we'll run through it a little bit. So obviously the first three games, Brighton away. First home game is Burnley. Obviously we did play them last season. Like I say, it was very unfortunate not to get at least a point in that game. Then our first game against the so-called top six is obviously Chelsea away after that. And then that is all of August. And then moving into September, West Ham at home. Obviously, we'll set that to West Ham fans, so that one's going to be interesting. Obviously, again, played them recently in a friendly, drew 1-1, made a good account of ourselves. Obviously, that was the start of last season, so that'll be interesting. Then, obviously, there's an international break, and then we got Fulham away. Obviously, the memories we have the last time we played Fulham away was not great. Hopefully, nothing like that again. Wolves at home. And, when I look at a lot of these fixtures, obviously, I'm basing it on right now. Obviously, we will bring in players, of course, and, more players might go, etc. But, I look at them anyway. And a lot of other people have said it, even neutrals or not. A thing that could factor us in these games. And when I look at them, if I had to predict them right now, most of the games I think we could get points out of our home games. Because we're at home, we know what it's going to be like at Kenilworth Road. Like us as Luton fans know, there was 2 Luton fans earlier on Sky Sports. They were talking about it as well. It's going to be some teams. It's going to be interesting when they come there. That's for sure. Obviously, companies spoke about it. After the game last season. That teams, if we do go up, which we have, teams are going to struggle basically. So it's one of them. That's how I look at it. A lot of the home games are going to factor us, I feel. So. Yeah, that's that. So yeah, obviously Wolves at home. Again, looking at it right now, I think that's a favourable game for us. I really do. Everton away, that'll be interesting. Tottenham at home. Now this is the month for my birthday. The closest game as it stands to my birthday is Nottingham Forest away. Now I do remember going to that. Not obviously last season because they were in the Prem. The season before 0-0. We were quite lucky in that game. Jordan Clark quite lucky not to score. To be fair. Aston Villa away, so that's back-to-back away games. So it's going to be interesting against 2 Midlands teams as well. 4th of November, moving on to November, Liverpool at home. That's going to be very, very interesting. That's for sure. If you know, you know. United away, so that's interesting. That's 2 very tough games. Obviously, then a trip down to Old Trafford as it stands, and then obviously there's another international break. What you've got to take into account as well, like I said earlier, is there'll be cup games as well. The FA Cup and League Cup and all that. And obviously for other teams, European football as well. So, yeah. Crystal Palace, then at home, that's going to be an interesting one again. And then moving on to December. Now, this is quite a tight schedule. There's a lot of games in December as it stands.
Yeah, I feel that that's for me. When I looked at that, I thought, that's the toughest.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Even though we've got, 4 games at home by the looks of it.
4 at home, yeah.
That's going to be tough.
And two of them at home are very, very good. Obviously, good to watch anyway for us. Obviously, it's Arsenal and Man City. So there's 2, very, very good teams. Obviously, the so-called top 6 back-to-back that one. So it's going to be interesting. But it starts off with Brentford away, which we know is not going to be easy at all. They're a very good side. They're an established Premier League team, I'd say now. Again, their recruitment's very good. Like I say, we're moving in a similar direction to them. They're just, I'd say 1 or 2 years ahead. So, yeah. And then obviously Arsenal at home. That's going to be interesting. Man City at home, interesting. Bournemouth away. I remember over the years we've had tight games against Bournemouth. I remember last time we played them, we lost 2-1, but second half we were brilliant. Now, based on that, we deserve something. I remember that was a good performance by us, even though we lost. Newcastle at home. It's going to be interesting. As it stands, that is 2 days before Christmas. So hopefully we get an early good present, but it's going to be a difficult game, as we know. Boxing Day fixture, Sheffield United away. Obviously, last time we went there was last season, obviously 1-0. And I did actually see Osho talk about that yesterday. And he said that was for him and a lot of the other players, that was the defining game of us, having a very good chance of going up, because Sheffield United, obviously they got second in the end. Got a clean sheet against a top side like that. It's not an easy place to go away. So, yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. And then Chelsea at home to end it. So when you look at it, I would say 5 really good teams there. Obviously, your Brentfords, your Arsenals, your Cities, your Newcastles, and your Chelseas. Depending on what Chelsea do, I expect them to be a lot better, of course, next season. And then January. Now, this is what I've, reckon with a fixture change. There's only 2 games. So there'll probably be a game that'll be thrown into there, I reckon. Burnley away, obviously went there last season, 1-1, very good performance, second game of the season. And then Brighton at home, so that's going to be interesting. Moving on to February, you've got Newcastle away, very tough as we know. Sheffield United at home, so back-to-back home games, and then Liverpool away. So that's what I mean. I was looking at it earlier and I was thinking, geez, I was thinking, is it harder the December month or having, in November and February, Liverpool and United back to back? But I'd still say December, because, like I said, there are 5 really good teams for me that we're playing in December. So, yeah.
But also, that's halfway through the season. Do you know what I mean? That's when, you're sort of getting in positions and you're trying to bag as much points as you can before, like, the new year. And, it all depends on where we are, where they are, things like that. But, there's, Arsenal, Man City is probably going to be in the top 4. Maybe a couple of teams there, like near the bottom. And then we, Chelsea as well. So, that could define our season. So we need to, all them games previous, they're the important ones. They're the ones that are going to help us, and maybe like, the way we play, etc. They won't expect that. It takes a few games before teams start not sussing you out, but coping with your style better. So, yeah, it does stand out. But it's the Premier League.
Yeah,
it is what it is. Bring it on. That's all we can do.
Yeah, exactly that. And then moving on to March, obviously the last 3 months now. Aston Villa at home. We did play them. I think the last time we played them at home, I can't remember what type of game it was. I think it was maybe a League Cup game. We did actually win. Grealish playing, and they're quite a good team.
That was under Nathan Jones as well. Yeah, we did. We surprised them. We shocked them. And this is what I'm saying. This is what a lot of people don't realise as well, that we've been doing this shit for years. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we're known historically for that one against Norwich, aren't we? When they were in the Premier League. And
now we're actually there.
Yeah.
And going to be playing week in, week out like that. Obviously, we're not going to perform, but we've shown over the years that we can do it anyway with lesser squads. So if we recruit well, which I'm sure we will do, we will surprise teams. We will shock some teams. We know we can get hide-ins. Most teams in the Premier League get a hide-in at some point, even the top 4. So it is going to happen at least probably twice. But it's what you do overall and what you show overall. And I think even at the moment, I'd say we've got enough. But I know we are going to recruit. So I think we have got a good job. We'll be very underestimated initially. But once we start proving ourselves, then we'll get so much more credit. And all the circus at the moment, it is good. It's just the focus. BBC Sport, got your own web page. Like it's just mad. And we wait for this. Well, I've definitely waited for it for far too long. So
yeah, no, absolutely.
I enjoy it.
Yeah, no, exactly. But yeah, Palace away after that. It's going to be a difficult game. Sorry, Selhurst Park's never an easy place to go, so it won't be easy. Nottingham Forest at home again. Remember that fight? Last time played them, obviously was the 1-0 victory. What a game that was! Especially for the atmosphere. I remember it's brilliant. Brilliant game. Then there's another international break, and then we play Tottenham away, which will be a good stadium to try and tick off. Obviously that is on the 30th of March as it stands, and then moving on to April is Arsenal away. So if that stays like that, that's interesting. Because obviously they're not two teams not too far away from us. Obviously they're North London rivals as well, as we know. So it's going to be interesting, having them two back to back. Obviously, it won't be easy, as we know. Then Bournemouth at home. Obviously, everyone remembers the last time we played Bournemouth was obviously that memorable 3-2. Shame who scored the winner, but for the scenes and that is absolutely brilliant, as we know. Then it's Man City away, which is actually our third
season.
Which is actually our third last away game of the season.
Do you know what? That's good that we've got them away so late as well, because a lot of people would possibly imagine if that was our first game and we got hired in and that we're so much experience behind us by then that hopefully it won't matter too much, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean. I was thinking to myself earlier, hopefully by then it's where we're in a position where we don't have to worry too much, but then there's still that little bit, if you get what I mean. Then we got Brentford at home. It'll be interesting. I can't really remember the last time we played Brentford at home. I think we lost, if I'm correct. It
weren't too long ago that they beat 7-0, but
yeah, I was going to say there's not many memorable games for us that we'd want to remember against Brentford. I remember that 7-0, and my cousin, a few years younger than me, I remember going into school, and yeah, it was not great. It was not great at them times there. So hopefully that changes. And then the second last away game, as it stands, is Wolves. So again, being another good ground to tick off. And then moving on to May, Everton at home. So that's going to be interesting. Our last away game, as it stands, is a pretty good away game, I'd say. Even though I've never done it myself, it just looks good in that, which is West Ham. So, hopefully do that again. So like I said, we're set as a West Ham fan, so it's going to be interesting. And then the last game, as it stands, is Fulham. Now, again, obviously, last time we played them, obviously at home, was obviously the 1-1. And we were quite unlucky not to win that. They were top of the league at the time, doing very well. And yeah, so it's one of them. But yeah, they are the fixtures. Obviously Brighton first as it stands, and obviously that will stay the same most likely. The only thing that might change is the date, because like obviously Eugene said earlier, they are in Europe, so I'm not sure if they have to try and qualify. I can't remember how it works for the positions and that. So yeah, they are the fixtures. So yeah, any final things you'd like to say on the fixtures, Dad?
Yeah, obviously we've got to take into account as well some of these teams generally who have a good season. I'm talking about Brighton, Villa. Generally to keep that up, unless you're a top 4 team, very, very rarely do the rest of the team sort of keep up that momentum. Plus, they're in Europe, so at certain times we play them, they're not going to be at their best, because that's just how the Premier League. Well, I've seen it time and time again where teams get turned over because they've got. Look at West Ham last season as well, because they were in Europe and they ended up winning it, fair play, but they nearly got relegated as well. So there's a lot of factors. Games always get changed around. Like I think in certain ways it's going to benefit us, because we've been used to playing a 46 game season for a very, very long time. you know, starting off in the League Cup earlier rounds, FA Cup earlier rounds as well. Sometimes, you know, we're going to have far less games. So we're going to have more training time, more time to, you know, get up to that sort of level. And the way we're coached and the players we've got, I think that's just going to benefit us. So, yeah, I just want to say that, like, you know, yes, you're in the best league in the world, but there is like little perks and that as well. You know, because everyone knows the championship is very, very difficult, and we competed very, very well in that. So it's not a walk in the park, you know, competition wise, but you know, there's a lot of international breaks. You got that bit in the championship and that, but we've been further down the leagues and we've had none of that. We've had to compete in this, that, you know, this is like probably, you know, the least kind of busy season, if that makes sense. Like actually on the pitch and stuff like that, it gives you more time to rest your players and get them back up to you know, speed. And then obviously you got the fact that some teams will have players going to the African Nations Cup and things like that if it's on. And you know, they're in certain Europe. You know, we haven't got none of that. It's totally fresh for us. We can go at each game and just try and compete. Whereas some of them, they might be thinking, "No, I don't want to. The next game we've got is in the Champions League. I don't want to get injured. I don't want to, you know what I mean? Things like that, because it does play on the players' minds and stuff sometimes, and you do see that happen in the Premier League where a team doesn't quite turn up because of a certain next game or whatever. So we've got all that to look forward to, and if we're doing all right, let's try for a cup run as well.
And one positive, you're actually going to get past round 2 of the League Cup, because obviously we're in the Premier League now, so no, we won't be in, you know, because in the last couple of years, obviously we struggled.
Yeah, we're straight into round 2 basically. So, you know, which will be drawn probably end of August or something like that, middle of August.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, they are the fixtures. What's that, sorry?
I think it was on there, the League Cup dates.
Yeah, there were. But yeah, like I said, obviously it's not going to stay like that, most likely a table, as we know. But yeah, like I said, I like to just, you know, look who we have first predominantly, and, you know, when it comes to last away game, last home, etc. So that's that on the fixtures, really. What I'll do, there's been a lot of comments, as I'll get into the comments before we get on to rating players this season. So yeah. Big up to Chris. He says, big up, I couldn't care less about fixtures, so I have like deadline date and transfer window, but that's just me. Hope you lads are well. Yeah, we're good, thanks, mate. Hope you're well. Do you know what I mean? But I'm similar to you, mate. You know, like I say, you're going to play everyone at some point. It's just for me, I just like to see who we have first, and, you know, how it is in the sense where, you know, if we have 2 of the top 6 at the same time, you know, back to back, which we do, you know, stuff like that, really, who we got last game, like I've been saying. So, yeah, man, I agree with that, to be honest, to a certain extent. Chris having a little bit of a preview on the game against Brighton. He says Luton could definitely get something at Brighton. We don't know what season going to look like for both. Exactly. And to be fair, we know historically, first games of the season, there's always a mad score, isn't there? Or 1 or 2, maybe even 3. So this could be that game. You never know. It could be literally a game you wouldn't even expect to be great, end up being great. But, you know, if you're neutral and you've kept your eye closely on both these teams, you know it should be a good game. You know, because they're both moving. Well, Luton are moving in a similar direction to Brighton. Brighton, you know, they're a very good side, as we know. So it's an interesting one. And Chris, Dad was sort of saying this earlier. I still think there's a lot of worse teams than Luton in Premier League. Fancy Luton and Burnley to survive out of the 3. Yeah, obviously nearer the time, I will do a Premier League predictions, obviously predicting the table. Obviously, last season the Championship because Luton were in that. This season I'll probably just more do Premier League stuff. I'll still do Championship stuff, but it won't be as much, if a lot, to be honest. Because I like to just do it where Luton are, going forward anyway. So yeah, that's that. And for me, mate, I think the Premier League will be tight like last season. So there's no reason for me why we can't stay up. That will be our aim. We all know that. Let's not be silly now. But, another thing I look at as well is, like I said earlier, our home games. I think a lot of them are really going to factor us because a lot of, teams, a lot of players that play for the teams, they're going to be used to, grounds like that, because how tight it is and etc. So, yeah. And I've already said it openly. I think Burnley will do well next season. I've just got that feeling. I said they'd be in the top 2 in the Championship. A lot of people, did say they'll win the league, but quite a lot of people had them lower and not even getting playoffs. So, I said it last time and they've done all right. So we'll see. We'll see this time. But like I say, I'll do my Premier League predictions nearer the time. I'll do it when, predominantly, if I had to give a rough thing of when I'll do it, is when all the business is done. Because then I'll get a bit more of a better understanding. And it's just better for me, to do it at a time like that. And Chris saying what you said earlier, Dad, as well. He says, hard to predict the league anyway. Need to see who gets who. Exactly, that's why I do it when I do as well. But I have no doubts Luton recruitment will be spot on like it has been. Does what it says on tin. Exactly, mate. Exactly. 9 times out of 10, it is spot on. And if it's not, you've seen it with players like Morel. They don't quite, play for us. So, yeah. We'll keep on saying until the cows return to the farm. Luton are heading into the same direction as territory as Brighton and Brentford. Exactly. Clubs being run properly. Exactly. You're neutral. You can see it. And I've been saying it. Brighton are, a few years. I'd say Brighton are probably 2 years ahead, two, and then Brentford are a year. I'd probably say something like that. Because we keep saying it as well, Dad. We're getting a lot closer to them than we'd have expected to in the time frame.
Yeah. Considering COVID as well.
Yeah, exactly. Stephen says getting his Chelsea ticket already. Fair enough, mate. Fair enough. It's going to be interesting for me. I'm not going to lie. But either way, I'll try and do as much, content as possible. Hanno says, hello, everyone. Big up to yourself. Oh, what's going on with the comments? We're having a little bit of a play up. There you go. David says, cheeky weekend in Brighton. Big up T and his dad. Big up yourself, mate. Hope you're well. Big up to Hanno. He says, nothing better than catching the best Luton show while drinking hot chocolate on a cold day. Big up yourself, mate. Big up. Obviously in South Africa, if anyone's like, what's he on about? It's all right over here. So, yeah. Late Boys TV. Yeah, well, we know what. StreamYard. Oh, God. That is that on that. Stephen says, my birthday on the 13th, might do Brighton weekend. Yeah, like I say, it's going to be difficult for me to get tickets. So, yeah. That is that. Obviously, Neil Warnock, bit off topic quickly, is obviously extended. His time at Huddersfield, to see that. So, obviously, Blue Terriers buzzing about that, which, yeah, he'll do well for you guys. He'll just capitalise on what he did last season for me. I don't know exactly where you'll finish, but I expect it to be higher. That's for sure. So, yeah, there's that. Stephen got a point here, though, to be fair. Says money doesn't guarantee success. Look at Norwich, West Brom, Chipford, which is obviously Watford. All parachute payment clubs done nothing. I think the Championship is hard this year. Yeah, a lot of people are saying they reckon it will be, harder than, last season. There's a lot of, big teams in there. I'm not saying because of that it will be, but just since, even the teams that have come up, I think they'll all do well, to be honest. They're all very good sides as well. So it's going to be interesting, the Championship, that's for sure. As long as Watford don't go up, and I'm chilling. You know what I mean? I'm chilling. So, yeah. Big up to Just Boo, which is obviously a Liverpool fan, as you can see there. Big up yourself, mate. Big up Ty, says Stephen. Big up to yourself. It's all real now. So is it started to sink in for you, Stephen? Is this where it officially has? even though I said earlier that fixtures for me they would have, it still quite hasn't for me. I think it's more when I see the shirt and see the Premier League sleeve. I think that's more so for me. So yeah, there we go with that. Stephen says, "Big up to you as well, Dad." What other comments are there? Big up to Alex. He says, "Evening all. Big up to yourself, mate." It's like, yeah, it's not even if they don't do much business for me, mate. It's more so, if it's more so our home games. I just think they'll factor us because a lot of teams won't be used to going to them sort of grounds, tight pitches, and etc. So that's what it is for me. Yeah, there probably is going to be so many, jump on sort of people. We are in the Premier League as well, so most likely, mate. Hanno says, "You lucky you got Forest before your birthday. I got City the day before his. So he most likely is not going to get that present, that early birthday present. So there we go." Stephen says, "Newcastle away February weekend." Yes, it is. Big up to Nakado. Big up to yourself, mate. Big up. Hope you're well, mate. We will get a hide-in, says Alex. The only good team in the league being City. Yeah, that game, especially the away game, I think that might be peak. Home game, if I had to say right now, we probably lose that as well, but I don't think we lose as much as we probably do away at City. And that's just because Man City, they're just, by the time we play them, well, they already are, but they'll still be champions of Europe. You know what I mean? So
I'd love it if we beat them. Do you know what I mean?
It would be scenes. It would be scenes. That's for sure. So yeah, there's that. Not scared of anyone else. Yeah, a lot of the team, like I say, a lot of the teams at home, I think we got a very good. Even the so-called top six, I generally think we got a very good chance. And I think we said it on the last episode. The times we have played, the Man Uniteds in recent years. Granted, there was no fans. We still put up a very good game against them. That to bring on, Fernandez is popping that time. They were struggling for a bit until them subs, and it just benefited us.
We still had George Moncur them times as well.
And who was it? He gave away the penalty. Yeah, Moncur, wasn't it? Yeah, it was actually Moncur. Thinking about it, and I remember even Kioso we had then. He was a very good player for us. Don't get me wrong, but you're seeing now that he's not part of the team. And I remember even he was starting that game, and I was thinking, what?
He should have stayed.
Even though it was against Man United, we could take it as a free hit. For me, it's one of them.
And don't forget, a couple of times, Nathan Jones, bizarrely, well, not bizarrely, but he didn't care. Like he'd make we'd changed our teams around in both of them games. They weren't even our strongest teams.
Yeah.
If you look back and look at the lineups and things like that, and we still done well. So, and we've just moved 2 stages ahead of that. So I'm quite sure that we can compete. Obviously there's elite players. There's going to be times where you just can't get near, if the team switches are on. But I saw at times last season, there were periods where we really looked like a Premier League team.
Yeah.
The first half against Bristol City. What other games was there? There was a few. That one stood out. Coventry were beaten 5-0, or that was the season before, but still. And now, don't forget the players are going to want to step up as well to prove that they can do that. You get a lot more time on the ball in the Premier League, I feel. We've played in the Championship for 4 seasons. It is very, very competitive. We learned how to deal with that. The players ain't going to come running at you. They're going to be looking to keep control of the ball and stuff more in the Premier League, and not they're not really as competitive in certain ways. Certain teams ain't. They're not like that. Do you know what I mean? So there's these little tweaks that will benefit us in certain ways, or people underestimate that. Because the reason we're playing so aggressively is because in the Championship you have to more so. In the Premier League, I think you can balance it out a bit, and I think that's what our aim will be: getting some ball players, people who are good passing, good on the ball, and that, and we can relax our play. We can still play with certain intensity and stuff, which I'm sure we will, but it won't be the way we've been playing for the last couple of seasons.
Yeah. Me personally, I think we'll see that intensity that we usually have at home a lot. Away, we'll probably, depending on who we're playing. Obviously, if we're playing like Man City, then we won't obviously play like that away. But you've seen, I always bring the game up because you saw what happened against a really good Man City team that obviously went on to win the treble. Look at what Southampton did against them. I know it's a rotated team and that, but so that was Nathan Jones. He's playing how he played with us, and you saw that it worked against Man City. And I think even in the final, I was looking at the final, I was thinking, if they do that at Kenilworth Road, the way they were passing it around. Edison before that, I wouldn't even say it's a great save. It's straight at him. Lukaku should be doing better, but in that first, I thought he's pretty poor. And if he, dilly dallies around like that at Kenilworth Road, I think he could get punished. I really do.
You can see that they don't like that because they're not used to it. Because most teams will let them play and try and I've even seen Bournemouth try and do exactly copy them and play it out from the back. We will not be playing it out from the back. We'll probably be the only team in the Premier League that won't be doing that because all the rest of them do it, and we will catch teams out doing that as well. That could be to our advantage because a lot of teams will definitely be doing. Most teams, maybe not all teams, but most teams they definitely be doing that nonsense, and we will mix it up. And if it's successful, you will see a lot of teams reverting back to English football, where you play to your strengths. You don't consist of, we've just got to pass it around. That's the main thing. Make sure you're good at passing and this, that, and the other. And that's why when people like Haaland come into the Premier League and finishes, is in, it doesn't score worldies necessarily. 90% of the time is just clinical. And we used to have that in the game loads over in this country, and people are making a big deal of it. But if you look back in history, we've had plenty of strikers like that back in the day. Shearer, Andy Cole, Dwight York, and before that, there's loads. And that sort of etched out of the game. The striker weren't a traditional striker like that. And if we can sort of bring something different, it will change people's philosophies and ways of thinking, how to play the game and stuff. We're already changing people's philosophies now and how a club should be run and what you should look to do. And they're probably looking at us going, what's their secret? What is their secret? To come with no money, literally, from 5 years in the conference to the Premier League. No one's invested. We've obviously got no billionaires come in and gone, right, I'm buying that. Here you go. No celebrity. Yeah. We'll recruit that player from the league. Elliot Lee playing for Wrexham, prime example, was playing for us. Definitely can play at a high level. Salford, they're owned by millionaires. Gary Neville and that. They've done well to get him, but as soon as it got to League Two, they hit the ceiling. Obviously we're a bigger club than that, but we've just continued every single season. All that still needs to be taken into account, regardless of the difficulty of the Premier League. We should be surviving, and that's what I think we'll do.
Yeah. Like I say, obviously. As it stands, that will be our aim, of course. We know, it's not going to be anything higher, because it is our first season there, So, and like I say, for me, obviously, I'm going to base it more on and do my official prediction, like I say, when all the transfers are done. But even if I had to say right now, I think we've got a very good chance. I think the table's going to be as tight as it is last season, especially at the bottom. And I think the home games are really going to factor us, really do, whoever it is. I'm not saying we'll, be unbeaten in every single one. I'm just saying they will benefit us, I feel, because a lot of teams won't be used to it. Like I say, for example, like I was saying, if Man City play, without playing around the back, I
Yeah,
just think it's risky.
I think we've got Arsenal and Man City at home.
Man City back to back at home, yeah.
In the winter as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Cold, you know what I mean? Where am I going? You sure this is going the right way? Yeah, just up that street there. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like, where the coach drives in and things like that. So that's going to be it. That will hit them and go, actually, like, what's going on here? And it does get into players' heads. Some of them might think, or get too cocky and that, but that's when they come unstuck. Because what happens is they'll get too cocky going in there. Yep. We should, and then one of our players will spin them or tackle it. They'll end up getting annoyed and getting cards. I think a lot of teams will get frustration and they'll be getting sent off at our place. That's what I feel.
And obviously, managers can get cards in that now as well. I could see Klopp or Pep getting very frustrated. We know.
I
like Klopp as a person, but we know he likes to make these silly excuses, and I could just see him getting very frustrated at getting off the road and throwing a little tantrum. I can already picture it.
Yeah, I think that more so the bigger teams, like you say, because the manager is going to hear our fans calling him a wanker consistently throughout the games. They're so close, and it's going to be like a cauldron because our fans will bring that atmosphere.
Yeah.
Because they'll just be burst into for a start and just keep it up. No matter what we're doing, even if we're struggling, it's going to be on all season. So you're right, it's definitely going to make a massive effect. And, it's being done up to certain, it's going to have a little new feel about the place as well, kind of, do you know what I mean? Like, the Premier League version of Kenilworth Road, let's go. Before we move on, what a story as well, right? Honestly, it's gonna do massive things for the whole town and surrounding areas and everything. Like it did for Brighton when they went up. The town and this, years ago, Brighton was a dump, I believe, right? 4th Division football club, wherever it was, like the town, it was run down, etc. Like, go out for a night there. It's lovely. Do you know what I mean? Like, the beach is nice. They've got loads of things on there. Yeah, it's a cobble beach, but they've got loads of activities, loads going on. It all looks, do you know what I mean? Like market, hip. And then they've got a very good football club as well, which they've built first time in Europe as well.
Yeah.
There's no reason why we can't achieve that. And the way we're being run, we should. It's just like you can't. Even now, you're like, we're still going to finish higher than we did last season, even if we got relegated, finish bottom. Do you know what I mean? But I think we'll finish higher than that.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's something I'll stick by, and you lot will even see that in my predictions. That I will not be putting us 20. That's an exclusive, and that's not even to be biased. I just generally, I think everyone's just underestimating us. Well, not everyone, but a lot of people are underestimating us. Really do. People basing it on the size of your fans and etc. And just nonsense like that. They're not actually taking into account what we've actually done, and that sort of thing. And yeah, it's all interesting. Back to the comments. Stephen says, as long as we don't do a derby, it'll be a success. I can't see that.
Definitely not. And stuff like that have been looked into as well. And let's not forget that we haven't, I don't know what Derby's situation was in a few seasons before they went up to the Premier League, but we've been, we was in the playoffs the previous season. We've been building strongly for this. It's not like we've just gone fluked it in there. I'd say if Coventry or Sunderland went up, they'd have a harder time than we're going to have. So, especially Coventry. So we'll be absolutely fine. We definitely won't be doing that. And it'll annoy a lot of people because they want us to do that. They want us to have Man City away. There'll be some people going, Brighton, they could get a point there, and things like that. So
yeah, it's similar to what Chris said earlier. I'm not sure if he was in at the time, but he was saying how it could go either way. It could go, obviously he's a neutral, and he's just seeing it from how it is. Obviously he's saying as well, we are very similar to them. They're just, a few years ahead. So it could be an interesting one. Could be an interesting one, that's for sure. So we'll see. We'll see. But big up to Big Mac and Tings. I don't think I've ever seen you on here, but big up yourself, mate. He says, need to get a move on with those transfers. Aim will be survival this year, of course. But there's a couple of decentish ones on the cheap. Yeah, there is actually one player I do want to talk about, which I don't think he is on the free, but we have been linked with him today. Yeah, I'm going to briefly get into that. So what we think. Hanno says, look, if you win 6 or 8 games at home, that's 18 to 21 points. Then win 1 or 2 away games, you're in the deep 20s. Then you just need a few draws. Yeah, we'll see how it is. But like I say, mate, for me, our home games are really going to factor us, whoever it is. And like I say, I'm not saying, like I said earlier, I'm not saying we'll be unbeaten, but they'll be tough. Trust me, I know that. So yeah, there's that. Interesting, but it says I'll take Karius on permanent and Fraser. Ross Barkley's on a free. So is Adama Traore. Wages double. Maybe take Broja from Chelsea. Me personally, I'd love to have Broja. I thought he started kicking into things for Chelsea until he obviously got that horrific injury. That was not great to see. The others, I'm not too sure. I think Ross Barkley's had a massive decline personally. Traore, what one are you on about? If you're on about the Wolves one, I'd definitely take him. But again, like I say, wages. Karius, I don't think he's as bad as what people say, but I think the keepers we're being linked with now, I'd more so like to have one of them personally. I remember when Karius had his little spell. I can't remember where it was. I think it was after his time at Liverpool. He made some, he was making some good saves wherever he was. He's a good shot stopper. His distribution's a bit questionable, but again, I think it's like to have a lot of keepers, even world-class goalkeepers. Look at Alisson, for example. For me, he's one-on-one, best keeper in the world when it comes to shot stopping, but his distribution's poor. Same with Edison. I think he's good at shot stopping, but again, his distribution's poor. So for me, I'd probably only take Broja, but I don't think that's realistic. Because of his wages. But yeah, your thoughts on this, Stud?
I don't think. I think that we won't get any of them because they all demand too much wages from us. And I think that's what they're key in how we're being run, and we need to keep that. First season in the Premier League, we're not paying more than 20 grand to someone. Because also you got to think all the other players in the squad, they're obviously not getting that. Highest paid players probably maybe on 10, maybe I'm just guessing. And they're not going. Especially if that person don't start pulling their weight and things like that. Do you know what I mean? So I think it will gradually be brought in where we will hire our wages, but in the first season, I can't see us unless they take a wage cut. Then none of them players will be coming to us because they just all demand way too much. And that this is where we will be able to sign players who have got the right mentality because they'll take that wage cut or things like that. So you'll know because a lot of these players, they're millionaires. They've been millionaires for years. Right? They don't even need to be on that 40 grand a week or whatever. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I guess Bournemouth had to do it. When they first gone in the Premier League and stuff. You're not going to be like paying silly wages to players. You've got to keep the majority of the squad and do shrewd business, and that's what we'll do. None of them players, unless they're willing to drop, and they know they're guaranteed first team football, etc. They ain't coming to us, and we won't be probably entertaining any of them anyway. That's what I think.
Yeah. No, I agree. Another player he says is Ampadu, which I don't think he's a bad player. And like you say, he would have that.
I like him. I do like him.
Link with Lockyer. Something people will look into. Probably, weird people that do this. I'm not going to lie. They've done the same with Ramsdale, for example, for Arsenal. everywhere he's he's been to 3 teams, you know, in his career. Obviously, he's probably been more, but there's been 3 that he's got relegated with, so everyone will probably think he's poor because of that. I do see this guy play for Wales sometimes when I do watch him. I'm not saying I watch him week in, week out, and he is good. This is one that I think we could have a good chance of getting, to be fair. What do you reckon?
I like the guy. I think he's a good player. I think when I first saw him, maybe he was. I think Chelsea signed him from someone like Exeter. I'm sure that.
Yeah.
And I see him like clearly too good for that league, and I've seen him in drifts and drabs. But like you say, he's been playing in like relatively poor teams. I think he's been a bit unlucky, and I don't think he's going to get in the Chelsea team. So, you know, I don't know what his contract is, but he's definitely someone we should be looking at.
Yeah, you know, and he did get loaned out this season to an Italian team who, like I say, they did get relegated, but you know that's not down to him for me. So it's just unfortunate, really. But yeah, that is that. Where's the comment? Gone. There it is. Can't go too mad on players. Got to keep the core there, both for wages and for team cohesion. Exactly that, mate. Exactly that. I agree on that. 100%. No, we're just being linked with people. One that you could say is most likely going to be done at some point, I just don't know when, is Nakamba. I think that's more than likely done. You know, like you said the other day, Doug, I think that is 90%, maybe a little bit higher at this rate. There's everything to it, like you were saying. You know, obviously he knows the team, the manager gets on with him, the players, got that bond with the fans. He was a fan favourite. You know, even though he was on loan, he was a fan favourite for a lot of people. I remember going to, especially Sunderland away, the amount of Zimbabwe flags I saw, you know, and all that. So I think that one's most likely done, especially with Villa being in Europe. You know, I think we've got a very good chance now. He's not, you know, they come out the other day and said he's not in their plans. So I think that one's more than likely done. But other than that, it's just links at the moment, really. So yeah. But just quickly, if you do want to, one I always look on, and shout out to you, Dad, you actually told me about this, is if you type up Luton Town FC transfer news, I can't remember what the website's called. I can't remember. But basically, it should be the top one. And if you click onto it, it's got all the links of other stuff. And it literally updates pretty much every half hour if there's news, you know, regarding anything. I used it a lot when I've done them daily videos. So, yeah, and I'll probably start to do them again soon. Big Mac says, Forest and Chelsea got to clear out for FFP. That's lots of good players, but 50k a week wages is about our limit. Yeah, I'd probably say the same. You reckon 50k, Dad?
I don't think we'll even go that high. I really don't.
You reckon? Oh, God. Fair enough. I'll just laugh at this comment by Stephen. Oh, dear. Exactly, Stephen. Exactly, mate. Fans close to pitch. Some players won't adapt and we should capitalise. Exactly, mate. Exactly that. If Luton get Cody permanent and get Nakamba permanent with lots of players like Chong and players like that, we should be okay. Obviously, Chong is the player we are linked with. We'll briefly talk about that now, I guess. Your thoughts on that one? Chong, just quickly, something about him. Obviously, Birmingham did have that chant every time he pumped against us. Obviously, we know he did like playing against us, but thoughts on us being linked with him?
I think again, he's got a lot of potential. He's still young, very young. He's definitely got ability. He tore us apart at that time. Like, I think he'd thrive in our squad, to be honest with you. I think he could play a number of different positions as well. Like, I think the only thing is they will command a fee for him, but I think that I'm not sure about their financial situation. But if we went in for him, we'd have to pay like at least 4 million. And I can't see him being our marquee signing because we will make one, but I think we're going to make a few free transfers first, and then we'll go in for someone. But it'll probably be about 5 million. And we'll see who it is. But I can't see it being him. But he's a good player. But he's under contract. They're going to want a certain fee for him. Look at the fees getting rejected now for certain players in the Premier League. And they've got a year in their contract. That's all they've got. And they're still like, nah, we want more money. So I think a lot of fees are going to be inflated. Just feel like teams might try and do that to us as well, especially like going for players like Chong and that. So we're going to have to be a bit more, thinking about where else we can go, and because we're not going to be paying stupid money.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'd love to have him, at Luton. Obviously, seeing what he did against us, in that 5-0 defeat. Obviously, is a very, scored. Can't even remember how many goals and assists he got in that game, but it was just ridiculous. It was like he was playing, FIFA on amateur or so. We were shocking that game. But yeah, like you say, for me as well, it is the wages. I think there might be a one. And like you say, I don't think it will be marquee signing either, because someone like that, because of the potential he has, would be a marquee signing if we were to go in. I just think it's a rumour personally. I've had a few Birmingham fans, mates of mine, asking me about it. What's going on? Like, do you think it'll happen? I don't think so. I just think it's just a rumour, to be honest. But yeah. There we go. They ain't ready for the Kenny though. No. Trust me, a lot of teams are sure. We know it anyway. Most of us know this in the chat. So yeah, there we go with that. They do have the good gems every now and then. You look at obviously the one you're saying there. I can't remember his name, but the one at Celtic. I know exactly who you're on about though. Even though he didn't live up to full potential at Liverpool, Minamino as well. He was obviously one as well. It's all interesting, isn't it? It's all interesting. And to be fair, you look at what they did in the World Cup as well. They've done very well, didn't they? Didn't they beat Germany? Yeah, I've done a watch long. Who was it they beat? Wasn't it Germany? So they could be, them gems coming through from Japan. There could be quite a few. So we'll see, man. But yeah, our recruitment team, like I say, 9 times out of 10 they get it right. So they look at a Japanese player and it turns out to be good. Then there you go. I don't know about this one. I remember banging on to my dad and saying about this guy when he was at Swansea. Oh, I think he's really good, and all this. And my dad was like, nah. And then you're seeing what he's doing now. He's not for me. Nah. I wouldn't want him personally. And that's the thing. He is a fairly big name when it comes to strikers, So it's one of them where obviously you like to have the rotation and the options, but at the same time, I'd rather have someone, even though I don't think this will happen, I'd rather have someone like an Akpom because, he was proven top scorer last season, in the Championship, and he's still doing stuff. Ayew for me is not really doing much at the moment. He's not really pulling strings. So yeah, for me, nah, not for me. Like I said, I thought he was that guy, but yeah, seeing what he's doing recently, nah. And my dad's always had that feeling because, like I said, I remember saying to him about Ayew, and even he was like, nah, wasn't you, Dad?
Yeah, I don't think he's good enough. Maybe a few years ago, but I just feel like if he was going to do something, he'd be doing it. So, plus his age, nah.
Yeah.
I think we got better as well.
Yeah, exactly. Cy London says, good luck to Luton in the Premiership from a Charlton supporter. Big up.
Yeah,
Big up. You guys. Yeah, Charlton had a decent cup run, didn't they, in the League Cup, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, big up. Appreciate that. I'd love Begovic. He won the Prem, so it'd be good for us. Yeah, obviously, we spoke about him in the last episode, obviously being linked. And yeah, I'll take him. you know, a couple of my mates, they're not Luton fans, but a couple of them are like, really? For me, yeah, you've got to remember, you know, he's an experienced player.
Yeah, 100%. You know,
I'd take him.
man, it's look at his resume,
Yeah.
CV. Yeah, it's like really, really good. Like the best keeper we have had on our books for a very, very long time. Do you know what I mean? So we can't be grumbling at that.
And then some people say about age and that, but for me, it don't really matter for a goalkeeper.
No, especially not nowadays. Definitely
Exactly.
not like that as well. You know, he hasn't really played that much, and he would be, you know, wanting to play first team football, proving that he can still do it at the top level. And I just feel like he would fit in. So I think that we probably will be signing him, and I'll be that as a first signing in the Premier League for free as well. That'd be fantastic. And just show it, and that fits our recruitment style as well for me.
Yeah. No, exactly. So yeah, Marvelous, which obviously Nakamba is on 35k apparently.
Definitely have to be taking a wage cut, 100%. Like that, I don't feel like.
And I think he would. You know, he's not that sort of player. He sounds like he wouldn't take it. You know, he's a nice guy from what I've seen and that. So yeah, it's one of them. He even played He's even played a few Champions League games. You know, so he's got that experience in Europe as well. So yeah, there we go with that. Need to look at realistic big league players who are desperate for game time redemption. Yeah, a point to prove. Yeah, that'd be ideal as well. So there we go with that. That is very interesting, considering you watched the Premier a lot, Hanno. That is interesting. Obviously, I know he didn't start for Everton recently, but still, you know, that's interesting to me.
Yeah, he's a good keeper.
Yeah.
You know, he's scored the goal. He's one of the only goalkeepers who's scored a goal in the Premier League as well. Like the amount of experience and
other than Alisson as well. But
he's
I think I remember that goal actually. Yeah, think about it. So I was looking. I think back then I was watching Saturday Soccer Show or whatever it's called, and yeah, it come up, and I was like, what? So yeah, I think I remember that actually. So yeah, there we go with that. But we're finally caught up with all the comments. Big up to yourselves, though. Appreciate all the comments coming in. So the second part of the stream, which we're going to get into, is ranking players this season. Obviously, we did it last season, halfway through, and apparently we did one at the end, but I can't quite remember it. So obviously, we're going to do that now. So obviously, we got up a tier list, as you can see here. I think the way we're going to do it is, the way I'm thinking we do it, Dad, is obviously I say the player. We say if we, you know, where I'll say where I put him, you say where you put him, and then we agree to, you know, do it. And then at the end, we go through our reasoning. You thinking that?
Yeah, that's fine, mate.
Cool. Yeah, cool. So we'll do that. So obviously we'll start off with Ethan. So obviously the tier list of the, you know, the things. So we got exceptional, good, average, poor, and can't really judge. That's exactly how we had it last season. So yeah, self-explanatory as we know. Ethan, now for me, like I say, he had a few poor games for us. Obviously he was on loan, but predominantly he done a good job for us, I would say. You know, like I say, the few questionable games for me were West Brom. You know, what was that other game? Middlesbrough to a certain extent, even though it's him and Bradley, I feel at the same time he shouldn't have come out the way he did. But then I understand why he did, because Bradley hasn't got that pace, but then again, Bradley's positioning wasn't great. So he's had a few stinkers, but predominantly he's been more good for us. You know, there's been games where he hasn't really had to do much because how good the defence has been. I'm going to say good, personally. I don't think he's been exceptional, of course, but I don't think he's been average. I think he has been decent for us. But then again, some people might put him in average, because I know a lot of Luton fans weren't the biggest fan of his. So I'm going to put him in just about sneaks into good for me. What do you reckon, Dad?
Yeah, I agree. It definitely goes into good. You know, he hasn't had a lot to do at times. But other times he's made some very good saves, and And I think more of it's just due to the fact that he's quite a quiet lad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I don't think I think he done decent for us. You know, we've had a lot worse keepers, lone keepers than him. If you're going to put it down to that, I'd say he's probably one of our best lone keepers that we've had. So he 100% goes in good. I feel that we're not going to be signing him, and that maybe he feels that Europe's the best option for him as well. I don't think he's Premier League quality. So yeah, I'm going to go good as well.
Yeah.
But good luck to him. Good luck to him wherever he ends up.
Yeah, man. Yeah, big up to him, absolutely. And he did have them shit hours moments at times where he'd, annoy the opposition fans, which was good to see, because like we say, he was a shy player. Obviously, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. I was like that myself when I played football, But yeah, it's just one of them, isn't it? Where, maybe Nottingham Forest or something, hence why they got rid of him and never tried to recall him back, before they got Dean Henderson. Maybe he is, like you say, maybe he's not Premier League quality. Aspie needs a club and has experience. Nah, I don't want Aspie to clear. He does have that experience, but nah, not for me. I don't know, mate. I don't know. I don't know how he still plays for Chelsea after that Arsenal game. To be honest, the way he was arguing with a fan at the end, it's just bizarre to me. Ethan Good, Hanno agrees. Stephen says good as well, and that's another thing. As much as the defense was good, he did get 20 clean sheets as well. So obviously he was part of that, wasn't he? So yeah, good is fair enough from you guys as well. Moving on to Isted now. Well, I think I'm just going to put in can't really judge, to be honest. He never really played a lot of games at his time at Luton. Obviously, he went on loan to Barnsley, but it looks like he's going to probably go there permanently or definitely not be part of our plans. So I'm just going to go can't really judge. He did have that really good performance in the playoff final, but that weren't for us, was it? So I'm going to just go can't really judge straight up.
Yeah,
same. With you, Doug?
Yeah, nothing more to add than that. That's all we can say on that one.
Exactly.
Again, good luck to him because obviously,
yeah.
I think there is a decent keeper there, but he just weren't. Because we were going up so quickly. He never really got that chance. For whatever, So, but I think that once he'll do well wherever he goes. But yeah, can't really judge.
Yeah, and it is a shame because I did want to see him in the FA Cup games. I said that openly on the streams and that. Obviously, Ethan played in them as well. Because, like I said, obviously, I'm not, you can't judge this season. But throughout his whole time and the games he has played, he's been decent. He has been decent. The standout one for me is the Chelsea game. Where obviously Steer had to come off, unfortunately. And then obviously he come on and done really well. Considering Chelsea were a lot better at that time than they are, were last season, or season just gone, shall I say. So, yeah, it's one of them for me. But yeah, wish him all the best, man. Wish him all the best. Shay, again, you can't really judge. He's been injured, hasn't he? Hence why we brung Ethan in. So straightforward that one, isn't it? Can't say anything else on that one. And again, Walton, you can't judge him because I haven't even seen him save a shot yet. So again, it's just one of them for the keepers. Keeper's done already. Moving on to Amari Bell, wicked player for me. For me, he was our most consistent player last season, especially, I say it week upon week with the positions he had to play. 1 week he was playing left centre back, 1 week he was playing left wing back. He was just brilliant for us. So for me, it's between good or exceptional, definitely. And the reason I say exceptional is because of the position. He didn't really have any poor games. He had 1 or 2, but the games he was poor in, he weren't the only one. I'll put him in good, but I'll put him high up in good for me.
Yeah,
agree with that one, Gus?
Yeah, he's touched on exceptional. No, do you know what? For me, he's exceptional. I'm not having it.
I mean, I did say I could put him there as well. So yeah,
I've heard fans criticise him and things like that. Like you know, when he went away with Jamaica as well, come back, we thought he's going to be tired, and that come in the next game, absolutely like smashed it. Like I said, changing the position. You know, he's had a good few shots. I think he might have even scored. Like he's been involved loads. He's just consistent, the most consistent player this season, I think. And a big part of what we've achieved, in my opinion. And I'm glad that when the rumours are he's signed a new contract, and I'm pleased about that. So yeah, I'm putting him there. He's going exceptional. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think he has signed that contract. Another reason I think it is he's got a very good bond with the fans. That's what I've noticed. I remember going Burnley away, and there was, everyone was near me. Obviously, me and British chap were going around the corner, and everyone was like, "Oh, there's a Luton player there." So we was like, "Oh, really? Like, who is that?" And it was actually Bell, and then he was, having a conversation with the fans. And earlier on about the fixtures on Instagram, I see he put some emojis. So it'll be interesting to see if I put him in this category next season, because he'll have a massive point to prove, even though I know he's a very good player, but just to show that he is as good as we think he is, sort of thing. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. But, yeah, like I say, for me, it was definitely high good or low exceptional, but not low as in poor. I just mean, there's other players there which I'll put higher, in my opinion, which we'll see a bit later on. So yeah, Stephen says Shea and Walton, you can't judge exactly. Bell, good, says Hanno. Fair enough. Like I say, it's good or exceptional for me, but yeah, I'll take exceptional for him. Exactly, can play in vast position, says Stephen. Exactly. Big up to Spencer, says Haiti, Chelsea fan, and everyone else. I don't mind him in exceptional. Exactly. Neither do I, mate, at all. Spencer says hello to you as well, Dad. So yeah, there's that. Moving on to the next player, Sonny Bradley. Now, before I rate him, big up to him. Like I said, obviously he left, as we know. It was good to see, obviously, lifting the trophy. He's been a massive part of where we've got to. But going forward, we felt it wasn't quite the answer to that sense. There was a few games where I think you see it this season. The Middlesbrough one, like I said earlier. There was a few where he was getting away with things in certain aspects. Like the Blackburn game, even though that game didn't really matter for us, because obviously we already had playoffs wrapped up by then. It was one of them where, he was a bit all over the place. But he's definitely good enough for, a championship team, similar to us, but in the sense where they're fighting for playoffs. Or definitely a lower end championship, higher, very top of the League One team, something like that. He's still being linked with a few teams, a lot of the newly promoted ones. I've seen Hull as well. So it'll be interesting to see where he goes, but wish him all the best. But I'm going to be honest, because that's how I am. I'm going to say poor, I'm not going to lie. Or is that too harsh?
No, I agree with you. He has a lot of issues this season off field as well, which does affect your game.
Yeah.
And, that's unfortunate. But, we've got to judge it as it is. And the games where he has come on, he has looked out of his depth. And we were both saying playoffs, we can't be playing him and stuff like that. But, maybe he's reached his ceiling to a degree now. This is a write-off season for him. But he's a very good player, and I'm sure he'll do well in the championship. And I wish all the best to him. But, yeah, unfortunately, on this occasion,
Yeah, no, absolutely. Bradley, average. Okay, a lot of you have gone average, which is interesting. Hanno's done it, and Stephen's done it as well. Fair enough. But yeah, I'll go poor. But like I say, big up to him. Obviously, like I always say, I've got his shirt as well from a couple of seasons ago, match worn, so that's sick. And he, like I say, he's a massive part of the rise, where we are. He was at the club for years upon years. So obviously not quite as long as Ruddock, but he was still one of the older sort of ones in that sense, along with your Luke Berries and your Cornix at the time and all that. So yeah, moving on to the next player, Reece Burke. Now he's had a good season. He's been quite unfortunate with injuries. Games where he's memorable games of his this season for me. Huddersfield away, obviously getting one over them after the playoffs was good. Obviously, he scored a winning goal. Come on. The playoff final has got to be up there. Obviously Lockyer unfortunately having to come off. How solid Reece Burke was when he come on. We know he's got the quality. We always say it. But just the way, he was so in his zone and just on job. He dealt with Gyökeres pretty much the whole game, except that goal they got. But other than that, that weren't really more so him for me. He was brilliant. So I'm going to put him in very high good. Like I say, he's been unfortunate with the injuries, but yeah, good. Agree with that one, Dad?
Yeah, I agree. It was good. Just wondering if he's ahead of Ethan or not. Probably just. Especially, player final, magnificent. Like you say, unlucky with injuries, but in the games that he was playing, I was really rating him. And at times I was, he was our best defender. Them times early on in the season, and I think he's got a lot of ability. He's very athletic. I think he'd do well in the Premier League as well. So yeah, good as it is.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Maybe he could be even higher for me. If he didn't have as many injuries potentially. You never know. You never know. Big up to Tom. He says hi. Big up yourself. Burke average. Says Hanno. Interesting. Burke good. Says Tom. Yeah, agree so far. Spence says, looking at the fixtures now, Town got Brighton away and Burnley got City at home. Yikes. Yeah, Burnley got City. That's interesting, isn't it? It's a company thing. Obviously, to a certain extent, they would be wanting to get one over them due to that FA Cup game. And they are at home, aren't they? Yeah, they're at home. So that's going to be interesting. Brighton away. See, we did discuss it earlier, of course. Not going to be easy, but it's not going to be easy for them either, in my opinion. So, yeah, there we go with that. Brighton away, a very tough opener. Yeah, no, it is. It is. Stephen says, Burt, when played ahead, been decent. Playoff final, slotted in perfectly. Exactly. Very high, very good. Yeah, exactly, mate. We're on the same wavelength there. It's the same comment. Is your YouTube playing up, I'm guessing? Because I know it does that a few times. So, yeah, there's that. Moving on to Doherty. Now, memorable games for him this season, or a memorable game, it's definitely got to be that QPR away game because of the goal. It did actually get goal of the season, didn't it? Brilliant goal. Obviously, you lot, if you ain't seen my reaction to it, it's on TikTok, or just go back to the watch along. I was going mental. It was a brilliant goal, brilliant team play as well. He slotted in really well. You've got to remember of him as well. He's not even playing in his main position. Predominantly, he's playing as a wing back, not his main position. And he's just slotted in really well. So, again, it's one of them for me where I'm going to put him in high good. But if people did go and put him in exceptional, lower end sort of exceptional, I'd understand it. Because, like I say, it's not his main position. Most of the time, he's been very consistent. So, I'm going to go with good for him. High good. Agree with that one, Dad?
Yeah, he's just below Bell at the moment, but he has been excellent. Showed his attributes very well. There was a couple of times where he's a bit petulant. Another time, obviously, where he's injured as well. And then he had a couple of poor games. But, he's definitely up there. He's definitely up there. And I can see him just getting better and better and doing very well in the Premier League again.
Yeah, exactly that. Where was our comments? Spencer says Turf Moor is tough to play at. Shouldn't be a problem. That'd be FC. Oh my god. I like Burke and think could be decent, but injuries is what brings him down for me. Yeah, obviously you always say to me Burke at Chelsea. No, we're keeping him, mate. Keeping him. You know what I mean? He also says Doherty doubted him, of course. Yeah, you did. He did doubt him. And Doherty, yeah, made you think again. But yeah, exceptional. Oh, okay. Yeah, like I say, if people put him in that, I could understand. But yeah, I'm going to go on the safe side with that and go with a very high good for him. Moving on to the next player, which is Drame. Obviously, come out on loan from Leeds. Obviously, he's been very good since he's come in. You could see, first couple of games, his quality was there for the Premier League quality. Hopefully, we get him back. I think is more so go Burnley. I've heard Burnley apparently have had a bid rejected, but I think they'll just progress on it and try and put in a better bid for Leeds and then get him there. Well, I know he's been linked with Brentford as well. Probably go to one of them for me. Also links to what I said as well with Burnley, where he'll probably think they have more chance of staying up, which, like I said, I as much as not doing my predictions, I'll probably say the same because I think they'll do very well next season. So yeah, that's that. But I'm just going to go straight up and put him in good. I think good's, sounds about right for him. To be honest, would I say he's been better than Doherty? Nah. I think Doherty's done it longer stretch as well, when you think about it. Burke, I'll say just behind Burke. Actually, no, I'll say he's behind all three. Yeah, I'll put him all behind all three of them. But good for me. Agree with that one, Dud?
Yeah, it's a difficult one. It's definitely good. I think he had one poor game. But other than that, and then he got injured as well. But other than that, he's been fantastic, and you can see his quality. He's definitely going to develop into a really good player. I would put him. Yeah, he has to go there.
Yeah, I think it's only right, really, isn't it? Like I say, especially based on being alone as well. Obviously Doherty's been more consistent in a longer period of time because we've had him longer, of course, and I feel it would be a bit harsh to put him over him in that sense. The same with obviously the rest in that sense. Doherty been a performer most of the season, chipped in goals and assists, solid season, unnatural position, great job, low, exceptional. Yeah, fair enough, mate. Like I said, it would be understandable people put him in there because, like you say, it's unnatural position. So, yeah. Drame wished he scored a goal or two, but definitely had a good season. Hopefully, we can get him on a permanent. It'd be interesting, that's for sure. Drame, what player has a style and it works? Has to be exceptional. Okay, interesting. Now, this is one where I probably wouldn't put him there in exceptional player, but I definitely put him in good. As no question, he's done the job for us. Helped us get to where we are. So this season, moving on to the next player, Lockyer. Now he is up there for player of the season. If not, he is your player of the season. For me, he's my player of the season. So it sounds like I'm repeating myself, but I'm going to put him in exceptional straight up. He had that little bit of a scare at the start of the season, didn't he? Where you was going to, question, will he get a chance again? Even he was questioning it himself after that Newport game, because how good everyone else was at the time. And then obviously, I think it was through Sonny Bradley getting an injury. Lockyer came back into the team and just was exceptional, took over as captain. And yeah, he's just been brilliant. The last games before the playoff, 3 out of 4 goals. Was it 3 out of 4? Yeah, three goals in 4 games, something like that, wasn't it? Or the other way round. He's just been brilliant. He's just been absolutely brilliant. So yeah, for me, he's my player of the season. There's 2 players up there, which I'll get into my player later on, that are up there for player of the season. But for me, he is that. And I know you're going to say exceptional as well, Dad. But is he your player of the season, mate?
Yeah, he is 100%. Like you say, Nathan Jones didn't play him in the first few games. He played in the League Cup against Newport. Several players were poor there. He weren't great, but he still scored in that game. And then when he did get his opportunity, from then on, he was super consistent. Worked his socks off, got into the Wales squad. When it was coming to the crunch, he was scoring in goals. Unbelievable, magnificent all season. Unfortunate what happened to him as well. I think that helped us as well in the final. Definitely, just like a proper footballer, wants to be involved with the club. Everything about it, like amazing. Yeah, 100% player of the season so far. I think it'd be hard. Well, ain't gonna be hard, but no one's shifting him. That's it. We'll just see how everyone else lines up. But yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely, with that, I definitely agree. Like I say, echo them thoughts. Lockyer are exceptional. I'm expecting exceptional for everybody that says it here. Hano's obviously gone with it. Exactly, no question. Exactly, it's one of them where I don't really need to explain, but I will again because I like this club, love this club, obviously, and Lockyer has been a massive part of that. So it's just one of them, isn't it? It's just one of them. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's when Luton play Liverpool, isn't it? Them dates. Other than the friendly games against Bayern, don't see any other 4:30 a.m. games this year. Yeah, we'll see. There will most likely change, mate. I'm not going to lie. Sorry to break it, but obviously due to the, I'm sure you know this as well, though. Due to obviously the cup competitions and stuff like that, they will most likely change. But hopefully not too many if there is some for you this season. So yeah, we will see with that. Moving on to the next player, Osho. Like I say, done an interview recently, talk about everything, more so the season and the playoff final. Obviously, he said, when he was celebrating at the end, it looked like he was giving birth, which is quite funny. But like I said earlier, he said the game that was Sheffield United away, just because how good Sheffield United were, and it's away, clean sheet. That was a statement win for him that made him believe that we were, going to go up. But he's been brilliant. He has been brilliant. Poor game, which I do mention from him, was Watford 4-0. But again, for me, like I said at the time, and I've said it, since, he was the only player that showed passion in that game. Even though it's a red card and that, but redeemed himself, had a lot of, I say a lot of redemption stories. That was a redemption story. Then he, scored the goal, which, brought us back into it in the playoff second leg. And he's one of them where going on to the later stages of the season, it's very hard to, not put him in the team because, how good he was being. Burke having them injuries as well, did benefit Osho in a way because then you're thinking you don't want to throw Burke back in that sense. But again, Osho been very good since. Been very good since that Watford game, to be honest. I remember I was questioning what was his best position. I wasn't sure if it's centre back or CDM. You've always bigged him up, Dad. I know that. So it's definitely good for me. Exceptional. I'm not going to say exceptional, but I'm going to say high-end good. And you know what? When I say he's been better than all of these that I've put in good, I'll say just behind Doherty. Just behind Doherty.
Yeah, 100%.
So, yeah, good for me.
Really come on leaps and bounds. I've rated him anyway. I've seen his ability, and he has played CDM as well. But in defence, yeah, he's had a couple of unlucky situations with handball and that, which VAR possibly would have ruled out. But he's really intelligent player. He's his passing's good. He's good at running forward. He's similar to Burke in certain ways. And he just took his chance, and he scored as well, vital goals for us, and he was exceptional as well in the playoff final. So yeah, he's definitely up there, exactly where he is. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Stevens, players of the season, he's gone with 2. He says Lockyer joint player of the season with Clark. Interesting. Obviously, we'll get to Clark and what we've got to say on him, of course. Big up to Hano. He says, take care, all off to my stream, up the Chelsea. Not up that, though. You know what I mean? I'm probably going to get surrounded with that when it comes to the third game of the season. But you can win all the games except 2, of course. So, yeah. Stephen says, Osho is his own category improved player. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'd agree with that, to be honest, because like I said, I didn't really know what his best position was, whether it's CDM or centre back. But then he has, come into leaps and bounds in that sense, and he's done very well. He's done very well. To me, he's shown that he's better in that. As much as we haven't seen him in CDM recently, you can see that he could definitely play as a centre back, and I definitely think he still could in the Premier League, and we will see that. He's got very good mentality as well. That's what I've noticed about him. Watching that interview the other day, and yeah, he definitely likes the club. That's for sure. I don't know if any of you saw it on his Instagram the other day, but he actually went to the cinema in Watford, and he actually brung his Luton shirt with him, and then posted it on Instagram. It's quite funny actually. So yeah, he's definitely got that respect and love for the club in that sense. So yeah, man. So yeah. But yeah, Stephen's urging for him to have his own category, most improved. Yeah, fair enough. I'd say I hear why you say that. But yeah, moving on to the next player, Potts. Now, I was saying he was similar to Bradley for me. I've said that on many episodes where going forward, they're not quite the answer. Been a massive part of where we are, but obviously Potts has been given, a year extension. If he wants to extend it, I'm not sure if he has, but I think he probably will. And to be fair, he has had some good games. And the thing is, when I compare him and Bradley, he's been more consistent than Bradley. A game I look at, I always mention it when I mention good performances from Potts this season, or a good performance, shall I say, was Swansea away. I remember me and you watching that. He was just solid. And a lot of the games towards the start of the season, well, he did have the armband, and he did make a good account of himself. There's a few games where he's a bit not so great. I remember Coventry at home, he weren't good enough the way he got done there. But it's an interesting one for me because it's either average or good, but it's not high good. But I don't know with Potts. It's an interesting one. I'll put him in low good. I don't think he's been better than any of that I've put on good. So I'll go with good for him. What do you reckon, Dad?
Yeah, I agree. He just slots in there, especially with his penalty in the final, which was actually apparently the first time he's ever took a penalty in his whole career. So you got to big him up for that.
Fair enough, yeah.
He's been captain a few times. He's well liked around the club, well respected around the club. And I do feel like he's impacted other players as well. So, and generally when he has come in, he has done decent jobs, he's had a couple of poor games and that, but that's what sometimes happens when you're not playing consistently. But yeah, lower end are good, definitely.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I agree, of course. Moving on to the next player, Luke Berry. Now, again, he's been a part of this for a while, as we know. I remember saying last season I wasn't sure if he was championship quality. Proved me wrong. That Blackburn game and then scoring vital goals. Still come on and made a massive part. Even this season, as we know, Blackpool, scored a winning goal away from home. And there's Millwall as well at home. Vital point in the end, you could say. Given what we did and what Millwall, ended up not doing, which is obviously getting into playoffs. For me, I'm going to put, again, he's similar to Potts for me, where, I'm not saying he's, been as good as others that I've put in good, but I still think he has been good, and he's proved me wrong that he is championship quality. Now we've given him an extension. So is he the Premier League quality quite there or good enough for the Prem? We will see. But I'll put him in good. And I'll put him just above Potts. But yeah, not better than Draymo or anyone like that. So yeah, I'll go with that for Berry. Agree?
Yeah, I agree. Again, obviously his chances have been limited. But we've always discussed it, when he has been asked to come on and do a job defensively or going forward, he's done it. He scored some vital goals for us. He has got good ability about him, and we've utilised that well. And I feel like that's what we've done. I don't think he'll be a starter going forward, but I do think he's someone who can come on and still do business for us. And this possibly would be his last season with us. But yeah, I agree. Still good.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. I agree on that. Big up to Luca. He says, "Hi, how are you? I'm good, thanks, mate. You've probably got them notes of the dates booked in, haven't you? Obviously, like I said, obviously you like me on for the previews when we play Arsenal. So, yeah, man, I'm all right, mate. Hope you're well. Hope you're well. I clicked on the Nightbot comment by accident. Steve said, Potts done okay, start of the season, then nothing, so just below average. Okay, fair enough. Like I say, he's low end good or average for me, but I'll put him in good, and I think with him getting that extension as well, that clearly shows something, doesn't it? So low end good for me. I feels right. So yeah, Potts good pen. Yeah, obviously I didn't think about that when I was talking about him just then, but yeah, that was a good pen. A lot of people, I was actually confident in him, but I know a lot of other people wasn't. And yeah, so if you're basing it on that as well, because we've seen historically what fullbacks or like to do, or just defenders in general at penalties, sometimes they're not great. So I understand why a lot of people are nervous as well when it comes to his. Moving on to the next player, Alan Campbell. Every time I talk about Campbell now, I'm just thinking of Chant. But yeah, he's been, it's an interesting one. He hasn't been as good as last season, but then I think the Campbell coming in has affected it in a way. Not so he's been poor, but just the sense where he hasn't really been able to show what he did last season to a certain extent. Campbell, this is an interesting one. I'm not going to lie. It's an interesting one for me. Like I said, not as good as last season, but still decent. I'll put him in good again. I'll go good again. I don't think he's been better than Dre May or anyone like that personally. So I'll say debating between, does he go ahead of Berry or behind? I'll put him ahead. So yeah, there we go with that. Steven says Berry average. Why always a sub good pen in final also? Yeah, obviously he scored a penalty as well, like you say. Yeah, Campbell's difficult for me. Like I said, he hasn't been able to show exactly what he did last season because of Nakamba coming in. But I don't think he's been terrible. I just don't feel he's been able to show as much. Ahead of Berry or behind? I'll put him just ahead. Of Berry. I don't think he's been better than Dre May or anyone like that, because not because he's been poor, like I say. It's just he hasn't been able to show as much when it comes to that. So yeah, that's that for me. When it comes to Campbell. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what you lot think for Campbell. That's for sure. I'll say it's difficult. It is difficult for me. It is difficult. So yeah, it's all interesting. With him. That's what I'll say on that. But yeah, you're one for Campbell, Dad. What do you reckon? I've put him in just above Berry, but it's difficult because he hasn't been able, like I said, he hasn't been able to show that much because of Nakamba coming in. I feel he hasn't been. Yeah,
I feel obviously under Nathan Jones, he was quite preferred, and he done a good job on that. He scored some good goals and stuff. When Rob Edwards come in, he seemed to want to change things up, so he kind of dropped off a bit. But yeah, just ahead of Berry.
Yeah, it was difficult. I was going to put him just ahead or just behind. It was tough. For me, that one. I'm not going to lie. Moving on to the next player, Jordan Clark. Obviously, Stephen put him up there for player of the season. Obviously, man of the match. Obviously, me and my dad gave him that for the final. Obviously, that is a standout for him. He has had a lot of very good games. The only poor game I can think of that he had was Sunderland in the second leg, but he stepped it up in the final. He was, he's better. It's still mad to think we got this guy for free. Keep saying that. And he is a player. Obviously, a lot of these players deserve it as well, but he deserves to be in the Premier League for me. Like I say, just how, we got him for free and how consistent he's been. Phenomenal player, man. Phenomenal player. His interview was brilliant. You saw the emotion, loves the club, another player that does. So, yeah, for me, I'll put him in high-end good. There is that maybe exceptional lower end, but I'm going to put him in high-end good. Am I going to put him the highest out of the good? Do you know what? I will. I'll put him in the highest of the good so far. Jordan Clark. Agree with that one, Dad?
No, I feel like he's exceptional.
Yeah?
I feel like, there's been plenty of games. He scored some fantastic goals. He's got some great assists. Like, it was only in the playoffs, really, apart from the final, where he stepped up again, that he weren't too great. But he proved it, and I just think he has been played like in a few different positions and that. But overall, I think he deserves to be up there because he has been excellent this season. And probably because you expect it all the time, that you're focusing more on them negative games, if that makes sense. But for me, I'd put him just in front of Bell, actually. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Fair enough. Like I say, there is that, for me, lower sort of end exceptional. Another game I haven't mentioned where he's brilliant as well was Middlesbrough. Rob Edwards' first game, actually. What a solo goal that was, of course. So, yeah, he is one of them for me when I think about it. I am focusing more on that one bad game. But other than that, he's been brilliant. So, again, if you are to put him in exceptional, I totally understand it. But I'll go with high-end good. For him. Moving on to the next player. Freeman. Now, this one, it's one or two things for me. Obviously, he come in, we were gassed. We were thinking, yes, experienced player. He'll do well for us. There were so many games this season that he did play where I felt he was trying to do too much. And I know you're the same on that, Dad. He was taking too many touches, especially the Watford game, for example. And obviously that was a poor game, as we know anyway, obviously the away game. I just felt he was trying to do too much in games. So it's one or two for me. I think I'm going to have to go poor. I was thinking average or poor. I'm going to have to go poor, I feel. Worse than Bradley for me. I'm not going to lie.
I know he's been injured. The Watford game was exceptionally poor. But when he was coming on under Rob Edwards, he was doing what he was asked to do. So for me, I would say can't really judge.
Interesting.
So that'll be my view on it. Yeah, but I do feel like we'll be looking to move him on because we'll be saying to him he's not going to be starting, is he? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
So if he's happy to stay, we'll see. But I think we'll be looking to move him on. I think we've jumped ahead as well. With the promotion, there's certain players that you might have kept, but now you're thinking, no, we need to make space. We need to get certain players in, and I'm afraid you're going to have to make that way. So yeah, I'd say can't really judge, to be fair.
Yeah, and it's like when we get them, sort of bigger names in now, we're not really, because of the stage we're at, not really. Obviously, we're looking for the experience, but like the Lansbury's and that, we're not as gassed as we would be, sort of thing anymore.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're still very happy, but we know we can get better now, sort of thing. So that's what I'm saying. That, and Lansbury is the next one. Funny enough, obviously a memorable moment he had this season. I'm sorry, there's a fly in my face. Was the whole game, away game? What a goal that was! Obviously, you could say they were a vital 3 points. obviously to help us get to where we are. But we haven't. He's had quite a lot of injuries. So it's difficult, man. It's difficult with Lansbury. I'm not going to lie. The midfield, it was always one for me where if we was going to play him, it was more so away because, you know, the way, not that we sit back because we're not really that team that tends to sit back, but just a sense where it benefit us with being more defensive at certain grounds. I remember saying that a few times with him. Oh, I don't know. This one's difficult for me. This one is difficult, Lansbury. I'm actually going to go can't really judge. I'm going to go can't really judge with Lansbury. What do you reckon with this one, Dad?
I was thinking that, but because of that goal and that celebration, you know, and the chances.
Oh yeah, celebration, brilliant. Yeah.
I'm going to give it. I'd say average.
Yeah, I was thinking that. There was three that I was thinking. I was thinking very low good, by the way, people, because we haven't seen enough, or we didn't see enough. Average because we haven't seen enough, but then that memorable goal, like you say. Do you know what? I'm going to agree with you. We haven't actually put anyone in average, to be honest, either. So I think it's only right. And I was debating average with him, so I'll go average. Shay reckons Osho robbed. No, I love Osho, mate. I love Osho. Obviously, you know, opinions. I think he's been brilliant. But, you know, it's just that Watford game. Even though he showed passion, obviously I'm on about the away game. I don't know. And at the start of the season, I know there were a bit unfortunate penalties and stuff, but he was giving a few stuff away. So for that reason, I won't put him in exceptional, but brilliant. You know, Stevens put him in his own category as well. He said most improved, so it's one of them. Yeah, I know, Lewis, mate. I know. Last couple of Hatter shows have been, to be fair. Moving on to Nakamba. Well, I think for this one, you got to put him in exceptional straight up. You know, obviously he had that little bit of a not so great game against Preston, but I don't think that was him necessarily. I think that was just him, you know, adapting to the Championship. You know, other than that, he's been brilliant. Steadied the ship, you could say. You know, just doing the job in front of the defence. You know, so for me, I'm going to put him in exceptional. Does he go above Bell? I don't know. You could argue that he could. Nah, I'll put him just behind. But definitely exceptional for me. Agree with that one, Dad?
Yeah, definitely exceptional. He definitely had a couple of poor games, you know, Sunderland away, and then, like I say, the Preston game and maybe half of other games. But he has been, you know, exceptional, but I can't quite put him ahead of Amari. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, fair enough. I agree, of course. Maybe exceptional. Yeah, I think it's only right, isn't it? It's only right. Like I say, hopefully we get him permanently, which I think if there is a player to get that we've pretty much got, you know, out of the players we've been linked with, it is him. Moving on to Fred. It'll be interesting to see what Steven says for this one, that's for sure. You know, Freddie's come on and done a decent job at times, you know, considering he's been as that wing back. Again, we know it's not his main position. The final, I thought he was pretty good when he come on. You know, we expected him to play well, of course, but just like he needed to play well. It was one of them where he couldn't really because, you know, it was 1-1. It was one of them sort of thing. But yeah, Fred, like I say, he's been decent when he's come on in games. Like I say, he's not been on his main position. A couple of times he's been up front as well, which we know he is more of an attacker, of course. I'll put him in. I'm debating one or two things. I'll put him in low end good. I'll put him in the lowest so far of good, I reckon. What do you reckon, Dad?
For me, he's average. Again, that's not really down to him so much injuries, but when he's come on, he's looks semi-consistent. But you know, he's done well with them limited opportunities. But for me, he needs to be playing like whole games and that to see it. For me, I'm not sure going forward that we'll be keeping him. I'd put him just in front of Lansbury.
Yeah, so pretty much the same. Obviously, we just got a different category. sort of thing. So yeah, that's fair enough. I was thinking average as well, but yeah, I'll keep it there. I'll keep it there. So yeah, there's that one. Moving on to Piera. I'm just going to go straight up. Can't really judge. Obviously, he's been on loan at Bradford, I think it is, but he was playing the first couple of games. Then he just didn't do anything. But again, that's not for us, so just can't really judge, isn't it?
Yeah.
Will we keep him? I don't think so, because if he's not starting for Bradford, can't see him starting. And it is a bit of a weird one at the same time though, because you think in pre-season you thought we were going to keep him. You know, he's getting a few assists in the games, and he was playing well. So it's just interesting. Again, it's probably one of them where they saw something we didn't. Obviously, they see more training and that sort of thing, maybe. So I don't know really with him, but yeah, can't really judge. I know that for sure. Glenn Ray, again, can't really judge. Obviously, since the injury, it hasn't been the same. And again, he's been on loan at Cheltenham. I've only seen him play there once because I don't obviously watch them leagues like that. But he played against Sheffield Wednesday and he done all right. But again, that's not for us. So can't really judge, isn't it? Straight up. It's like I have a lot of these. Ruddock, now, Mr. Luton Town. Obviously, brilliant to see that he's done this journey with us. Obviously, of course, as fans, obviously as a player, this is phenomenal. You know, I can't see anyone doing that for a very long time, if ever. Again, honestly, you know, one club anyway. He has been brilliant. He's really stepped up this season. You know, I feel even, you know, under Nathan Jones, he's very good. You know, it's been very hard to not put him in the team at times. Under Rob Edwards, I would say he's definitely up there for most improved player. You know, under him, obviously Doherty's up there as well and others. But yeah, Ruddock, man, what player he's been. What a player he's been, you know, for us this season. Do you know what? I'm putting him in exceptional. Not better than any of the others, but I'm putting him in exceptional. I'm going to be honest. Or he's at least high end good. So yeah, exceptional. I'm putting him in there. Do you reckon, Dad?
Yeah, he definitely does to go there in exceptional. But I'm thinking probably higher up.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, where would you put him then? Where would you put him?
I'd probably put him second.
Yeah? Okay.
The goals he scored, you know, there's times where against Sunderland, I felt he was quite poor. But then in the next game, he was fucking exceptional. The final we played, and I think he ended up being captain as well. And generally, he has stepped up. And he's been a massive part of what we've achieved. You know, he's not like a flair player, but he's just on it all the time. So for me, I'll put him second. So I'll put him.
Fair enough. I mean, Shay here has actually said top, which is, you know, obviously we're probably basing it a little bit on, you know, what the journey he's had with us as well, but he's put him high as well. So that's fair enough. He's definitely on exceptional for me, though, because like I say, it's been very hard to throw him out the team at times. And I remember he used to get heavy criticism. You know, I think he was a bit of a scapegoat in a sense because how long he's been at the club. You know, he was getting heavy criticism from certain fans. So for me, he's definitely up there, exceptional. So yeah, that's that on him. Elliot Thorpe, I'm going to be straight up. Can't really judge. The only one game I can think of for him this season was Grimsby, but who wasn't poor in that game? I don't feel we should have started him. Obviously, our cut wasn't our main priority. It was trying to obviously win the playoffs like we did, or maybe get second at the time, try and compete for it. But yeah, he's played one game, and before that, he didn't play until my birthday, and that's with Burton Albion, and they didn't really give him a chance. So yeah, I'm just going to go can't really judge with him. Your thoughts, Dad?
Yeah, same.
Straight up, same sort of reasons, isn't it? So, yes, one end we move. Louis Watson. Now, this one's an interesting one because, the FA Cup games we had, Wigan at home, I thought was exceptional. And there was a few games where we was thinking, do you know what, this guy might actually get a few starts in certain games. But then obviously that Grimsby game happened again. Like I said, with Elliot Thorpe, weren't the only poor player. It's just a poor round performance. Obviously Rob Edwards done brilliant, but I think even in that game, the tactics were wrong. I'm sure a lot of people would agree. And yeah, with Watson, it's interesting because you've seen more of him than Thorpe. I don't know. With Watson. I'm thinking low end good or average. I'll go average for him. Would I say he's been better than Lansbury? I'd say for what we've seen in glimpses, yes. Lansbury scored that banger, but at the same time, did we expect to see of Watson, what we have compared to Lansbury? We would have expected more. So I'm going to say, yeah, I'm going to put him in average. What do you reckon, Dad?
Yeah, I agree. And potentially, like, obviously, we're going to keep hold of him. He's young. He's come from a Premier League team, so again, that could be to our advantage. Yeah, he hasn't got as much match, but he fits that sort of Premier League mould. So that could, encourage him, give him more confidence, etc. And the game, the games we have seen him, apart from the Grimsby game, he was pretty decent. Yeah, so yeah, I'll give him that.
Yeah, exactly that. Elijah, moved on to Elijah. Now, I remember saying a lot of times this season, he's been very unlucky. I think Morris coming in has helped in a sense where not as much pressure's on him, because I felt last season a lot, not necessarily pressure, but we was expecting him to do a lot more because, Cornick, we know he's not a clinical finisher. And, you saw even in the playoff final when we brought Elijah on against Huddersfield, you saw he couldn't walk, but we felt we had to bring him on because how vital he was to us, obviously before last season. Still a massive player for us, of course. With Elijah, what am I going to go with? It's interesting. He didn't get double figures, but I do feel what really helped him out is getting that goal in that playoff first leg. That gave him a lot of confidence. You could see he was very good in the final. Obviously, getting that assist. Would he have scored a penalty? I reckon he would have. Well, anyone that day who was taking our penalties would have scored, I reckon, because how good we were with them. We didn't miss. Elijah, I'm thinking one or two things with him. Nah, I can't put him in average. That's peak. Nah. I'll put him in good. It's just where do I put him in good? That's the thing. Do I think he's been better than Clark? No. Doherty? No. Osho? No. Burke? No.
Really?
I don't know, actually. Maybe above Burke. Maybe just above Burke. I don't think he's been better than Clark. Don't think he's been better than Doherty. Not Osho. Nah. Yeah, because of the injuries Burke's had, I think it's only right I put Elijah ahead of him in that sense. So, yeah, I'll go good. What do you reckon?
I'd probably put him ahead of Doughty.
Yeah?
Yeah, he definitely stepped up in when it mattered. He has to adapt his game this season. He was the main man last season. Morris was more so this season. He had some issues early on. But he didn't get as many goals. And there was a couple of sitters that he actually did miss. But I just think he's on the up and up. So I think he's had, considering like he's had in that kind of season, he's still done really well. And I'm pushing it more towards the playoffs and stuff. So I'd probably just put him just in front of Doughty.
Yeah, that's what I was saying as well. But yeah, fair enough. Moving on to the next player, which is McAtee. I'm just going to put him in can't really judge. Been out of Grimsby. Obviously he's a very favourable player there, but again, that's not for us. So straight up, can't really judge. Be interesting to see what we do with him next season. I'd probably say we need to loan him out to a championship team at least. For that experience. I don't feel he's quite, especially if Taylor now, I don't think he's quite a guy who's going to be on the bench for us at this moment in time. He is a very good player from what I've seen, but yeah, can't really judge. Agree on that one, Dad?
Yeah.
There you go with that. Shay for Elijah's gone up a good in between Osho and Burke. Yeah, it's the same as me. Yeah, exact same as me. Now above Burke, below Osho. Yeah, same as me. So yeah, there we go with that. Moving on to the next player, Mendes Gomez, who, I've said it numerous times. He's been our best player that's been out on loan this season. But I'm doing it from a Luton perspective. So for that reason, I'm going to go, actually, he did have that game, didn't he, against Newport, where he scored a very good goal. So, if I'm basing it on that, and like I said, he's just kept that consistency at Fleetwood, by the looks of it, I'm going to put him in good, I'm going to put him in good, actually, when I think about it, because he has actually played. It's not like he hasn't played for us, this season. So, put him in good. Whereabouts in good? People might put him higher, but I'm doing it from our perspective. Obviously, I see our players more predominantly, that of course, that we actually have, and not our loan. So I'll put him there. Put him above Potts and Fred. What do you reckon, Dad?
Yeah, I agree. I think that he should be given a chance, see what he could do in training, playing in some pre-season matches, potentially see what he can do. Because we know he's got ability in that, and he's got pace, and that's what you need in the Premier League. So if he proves that, then it's a good look. I agree. That goal we scored against Newport was fantastic, and like you say, he carried it on, being on loan, albeit to a League One team, but still.
Yeah, absolutely. Morris is the next player. Now, for me, Morris is the second. I'll put it out there. My second player of the season in that sense, if you want to do a close second. Obviously we knew, we were saying it, even though he didn't quite start off banging goals in straight away, we knew, with a price tag, it'd eventually kick in. We were saying that at the start. Vital he's been for us this season. Like I said, he took certain pressure off of Elijah in a certain extent, like I said earlier. In that sense, it's been brilliant, as we know. We were actually more excited about Woodrow, than Morris. Me more so, because I, know Woodrow played for us before, and, I knew he'd want to prove a point. But Morris, price tag coming, he's been exceptional. See, our record signing as of right now. Expect that to change, though. Now we're in the Premier League. But he's been brilliant. So, exceptional for me. And like I said, for me, I'm going to put him just above Bell. But it is difficult, man. You could put Bell above. If people put Bell above, I'd understand. But I'll go Morris second. But he's definitely an exceptional. I know you're definitely going to say that, aren't you, Dan?
Yeah, 100%. Top goal scorer. First time we signed him, scoring 20 goals. Threat, massive threat. Scores all kinds of goals, headers, left foot, right foot. Got good dribbling skills. Such a massive threat, and I think he'll do well in the Premier League as well. Definitely second for me, 100%.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was weird seeing him on the fixtures thing the other day. Obviously, he was on it for us. I thought, geez, that's quite mad to see. But no, big up to him. Big up to him. He's been brilliant, and yeah, I think he's going to be a threat to opposition defenders. That's for sure in the Premier League. Shay agrees. Morris above or just below Locks. Yeah, Lockie is both our player of the season. So yeah, based on that, just below like we've put him. Musquay, I'm just going to go straight up. Can't really judge. His picture on here is not even this season's shirt. I don't even know if he has played this season. In any game, I can't actually think. He's been on the bench a few times, but actually coming on, not so sure. It's just unfortunate, man. I always say it with Musquay. We're always backing him. A lot of people don't back him as much. If that goal against Blackpool last season counted, that could have really kicked on his Luton career. And I feel sorry for him because it should have count. It should have count. You know, it's stupid that it didn't. Oh, it's just gutting. So, like I say, I can't really remember him playing a game this season if he has played any. Like I say, I know he's been on the bench. But at this moment in time, when you think about it, Taylor's ahead of him as well. You know, Taylor's obviously not been at the club for as long. So for that, I'm going to go can't really judge as well because we haven't seen him. So agree on that?
Mm-hmm.
Straight up, same reasons. And then a couple more. I'm not going to lie. I don't actually... Oh, what's actually going on my screen? I think that's a youngster, if I'm correct. So I'm just going to go can't really judge. I'm not too sure who that is. Usually I'm all right with knowing our younger players, but I'm not sure who that is. Pebble, again, can't really judge because he hasn't played for us. He had a little bit of a time at Grimsby, but I don't think he played many games from what I saw. Joe Taylor. Now, this one's interesting. Now, Osho actually said yesterday as well how he was bantering with Taylor saying he's going to score in the final, the winning goal and that. And we were saying, you know, imagine if he obviously scored a very good penalty in that. You know, his goal was unfortunate. You know, it was a handball, but the handball rules nowadays are a bit, you know, silly as we know. Yes, just quickly, yes, it is Newville. I'm going to put him in can't really judge because he hasn't played for our first team. So, yeah, there's that. But, yeah, as I was saying, you know, obviously he had that moment. And do you know what? The penalty, Elijah said, you know, he was confident when he was stepping up for his penalty. You know what? Even though he hasn't, you know, played a lot of games, I'll put him in good. I won't put him high end good because I feel that'd be a bit harsh on other players. But I'll go... Oh, I don't know where to put him in good, though. This is difficult. This is difficult for me. I'll put him just above Fred. Just above Fred. No one else. I feel that's a bit harsh. So, yeah. What do you reckon, Dad?
Yeah, I agree. I think that when he has come on, he's looked strong. You know, he come on in the playoff final, scored. Yeah, it was unlucky, but he still had the composure. Penalty. He looks strong. It looks like a really good signing for me. So, yeah, I'd put him there.
Yeah, a massive shout out to the recruitment team again. And Mick Harford said, you know, saw something in this guy. So, again, that's shout out to him as well. And then the last player is Woodrow. Now, like I said, obviously we were, you know, very happy when he come in. Obviously played for Luton before, won a Luton's own in that sense, you know, because he was there before. He has had some good moments this season. Norwich, you know, scoring a winning goal. You know, there's been a few others, you know, but it hasn't lived up to what we would have thought. You know, let's be honest. Be interesting to see what we do with him next season. I'm not saying I think we'll get rid of him or anything like that. I just mean, like, will we loan him out or will we keep him on the bench? I'm not sure. It's Taylor at the moment. It's just, for me, I feel he's going to do well, you know, on the bench and then coming on in games. I really do, because you got to think as well, he's sort of an unknown identity as well. So a lot of Premier League defence is not really going to know a lot about him, in my opinion. So, you know, the only thing you would have seen is the glimpse of the playoffs final, really, of him, more so. So, Woodrow for me, I'm thinking low end good or average. I'm not going to lie. Oh, it's interesting with Woodrow, man. It's interesting. Joe, what? I'll put him in good, low end good. I'll go just above Fred. What do you reckon?
Yeah, good, definitely. Probably for me, just above Potts, because he has scored some crucial goals. He has shown some real skill on the ball when needed, and he's just been a bit unlucky, really. And he was being played out of position as well by Nathan Jones, in my opinion.
Yeah, there was also that, wasn't it? There was also that. So, yeah, there you go. They are our ratings. We'll post this on the socials, see what people have got to say. Obviously, have their opinions and that as well. But, yeah, thank you again, Dad, for coming on. Any final things you'd like to say? I know it's been a bit of a long one. I think it's our record-breaking longest Hatter show.
Yeah, just look forward to the first game of the season. Let's see who we sign.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And what I will do, people, when news officially comes out about a signing, I will most likely do a video on it or a stream or something like that. So yeah, I'm just waiting for more proper announcements. Then I'll start probably doing daily videos or every other day sort of thing. But yeah, big up to everyone that's tuned in. Like I say, I know it's been a bit of a longer episode. I didn't actually expect it to be this long. I thought, we'd briefly go through the fixtures. Didn't think it'd take that long. And then this, I knew this would take a bit of a while. But yeah, we'll be back again next week. Like I say, we'll still be doing these weekly. Next week, obviously, if any transfer news comes out by then, we'll obviously discuss that. But I think the main thing I'm looking to do next week is literally this again, but on keep, sell, loan. But obviously, the players that are already gone, we'll obviously just put them in it anyway and then say what we'd have done with them anyway. Or even players that have got an extension, what we'd have done with them, So yeah, we will get into that next week. But yeah, that has been episode 107 of the Hat Show. Any final things in general you'd like to say, Dad?
No, let's do it.
There you go. There you go. But yeah, that is the Premier League fixtures spoken about for Luton. Come on. And obviously ranking players this season. So yeah, big up to everyone that's tuned in. I know a lot of people tuned in, especially at the start of the stream. So big up to yourselves. I know we took a little bit of a while to get in, but a lot of people were in. So big up to yourselves. As for subscribers and all of that in this stream, let me just have a quick look. And also, just quickly as well, I did post some reels or shorts, shall I say, on the other YouTube extra channel. So make sure you check that out. We're currently on 19 likes. So big up to yourselves. I know a few people watch this back on playback. And they'll probably be like, whoa, this one's 2 hours. But I'll still watch it anyway. So big up to yourselves. But yeah, as for subscribers, new subscriber as well. So big up to yourself. Whoever that was, much appreciated. And yeah, smash a like if you haven't already. Subscribe if you are new. Turn on the notification bell. Like I said, check out the extra channel as well. Nightbot has obviously put that in the comments as well. I will be back again tomorrow as well. England have obviously got a few games, so I'll just cover them and see what goes on there. And yeah, want to follow me across any of my socials? Links to them are in the description. So yeah, until tomorrow, I will see you lot in a bit. So yeah, take care and peace. Up Luton.